Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Rashida. I'm the program coordinator for Special Initiatives for SYEP. This is, I'm going to say, part 4 of our SYEP Know Your Rights workshops. And this section, we're going to start focusing on the benefits of SYEP as well as assisting with any application questions that you may have. So again, I'm going to let Stacey introduce herself. That's my colleague here. And later on, we'll be having the panels. This session is going to be on networking, the benefits of SYP, and how those are connected. Stacey, you could go ahead if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, sure. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm excited to have you all here. My name is Stacey Shapiro, and I'm the Youth Engagement Specialist at the Summer Youth Employment Program.
So we do ask for everyone to engage or participate. The questions for SYP specifically are going to be after the networking section, which will come first. The panelists will arrive after we do the networking PowerPoint. If you have SYP questions only, you do have to wait until after the networking section to ask those questions. You can also drop any answers in the chat if you're not able to use your camera. So today we're going to talk about networking and how to network. Does anyone know what networking is?
Is the process of interacting with others in exchange for information.
Do you understand the keys, or are you available the keys of networking? So what would you need to be successful in networking?
Communication and social skills.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else?
Let's say networking is like set up and let me think. It means it's like an exchange of information among people with the common profession of special interest, usually in informal social setting. It's like refers to linking multiple devices that can readily share information and software resources.
Thank you. We are speaking on the networking of in a professional capacity and how to navigate that so you can make connections, whether for advancement of your career, career opportunities, if it's volunteer opportunities. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the quote, it's all about who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. This is somewhere where we're going to highlight what that actually means. And thank you, Mariam, in the chat, active listening as well. Also, for this agenda, we'll go over what is networking, understanding the keys, what is an elevator pitch, and how to expand your professional network. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is first impressions. So we're going to go through. Am I going to show this video? On how to make a great impression. I'm going to skip through the videos, but I do want to, and that's where I'll engage you instead. So what do you think are some great ways to make a first impression?
Yeah, we have a few messages in the chat. We have saying hello, introducing yourself, being kind, smiling, being on time, being prepared and ready to learn and work, and being positive. Great, thank you for all of those. Those are great. Mm-hmm. Dressing professionally, all wonderful points.
Yes. And those are going to be great for a lot of those. I thought of interview skills. When you're going to an interview, that's when you really want to make a lasting first impression. But something is always that you never know who are you sitting in the room with. And sometimes you want to just make sure that you always present your best self. So being that positive and being prepared, I think at all times, smiling, having that approachable demeanor is very important. Sometimes we think that, we're sitting in a meeting, or we might be going to this place where I know who's going to be here and the person I want to make a lasting impression on, but you might come in contact with a parent friend, a family friend, someone at your school who can have an impact on you later on in your life that you wouldn't expect. So always just, I think, being your best self with those traits is important. So some keys to networking. So networking is the practicing of interacting with others for exchange of information. Thank you. I think that was Josh who provided that definition. We're going to discuss, what is networking, who networks and why, who you can network with, who you can network about, and what is the most important aspect of networking. So we can gauge is who networks and why.
I would say that everybody networks in some type of way.
Yes. I think that is the answer. We are all networking. And the why, I think noted earlier, is sometimes we're networking for career advancements. Sometimes we're networking because we're interested in opportunities. Sometimes we network just because we want to get a good deal on certain sales. So I think I gave some of the suggestions. So who can you network with, or what can you network about?
You can network with somebody who is experienced in what you want to do. That person can be like your mentor, like your mentor.
Yeah.
I think you can network with almost anyone, and you should not be afraid to do that.
So we'll go over the art of making introduction. And that is, again, that first impression and how you introduce yourselves. I know, like in our culture, at least in American society, handshaking, doing that firm handshake supposedly is a great way to, when you're introducing with someone. During COVID, we can't even handshake. So what are other ways when you're introducing yourself, and to whom? I'll read off. So we got when introducing yourselves, you show deference to rank, title, and age. Say name of rank, title, older person first. Include clarifying information. When introducing yourself to others, you stand, maintain eye contact and appropriate distance. Repeat name, and any other circumstances you would handshake. Can you think of any other important things that you do when you introduce yourself to someone? And if not, that's okay, because this might be the
You respect who they are as a whole.
respect to who they are. Yes. And I think especially with introducing yourself, that depending on who you're speaking with, the culture and the society, showing respect to others is going to be different. So if you're addressing someone who might be military or army, they do that hand to the forehead, the salute. When you're speaking to older people, they like to be called Mr. or Mrs. When you're speaking to people your age, you might just do them by the first name. So being aware of who you are speaking with is important in that conversation. The mark of a good conversationalist: pay attention to what people say. And to pay attention, Mariama stated earlier, that does include active listening. Practice remembering names. Repeat the name 3 times. Associate the name with something or someone. Listen, and mention commonalities. Active listening, it's the most important, to really listen to what and pay attention to what the person is saying. Sometimes we listen to respond. Active listening is listening, just hear what they have to say, and then you create your thought. I think using names is very important as well when you're doing that. People like to know that you are acknowledging who they are in their name. It also increases familiarity. My name is Rashida. If you've done SYEP with me before, you may be familiar to my name, and you would use that when speaking with me. And it's like, oh, okay, so I recognize that I do know you, and we have some type of relationship, or we've communicated and worked together in some capacity. So for networking, wherever you are, you will want to work the room, arrive early, talk about relevant, positive topics, end conversations gracefully, ask and share, meet several new people and introduce them to each other. Be pleasant, be inclusive, be sincere, and be yourself. So how to meet and greet. You could walk up to someone you want to meet. If they are speaking, you wait close by so they can see you. When a break in their conversation occurs, you would ask, "Hi, would love to meet you. When you're finished, may I speak with you briefly?" And you listen to the answer and do what they suggest. Networking from home, it occurs online through LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or email. On the phone, if you're doing it in person, that could be in the elevator, in the cafeteria, in the water room, other common spaces, meeting areas, or events. Being that we are in a virtual world right now, does anyone have any other ways they network online or virtually with peers, with whomever?
We also have some messages in the chat. We have Slack from Monique. For those of you who aren't familiar with Slack, that's like kind of like a platform where you can like message people online like that if you're part of the same company. I'm familiar with it because I know one of my sisters uses Slack at her workplace. And then we also have like messages of LinkedIn, like everyone else has mentioned as well. But those are all some wonderful examples. Thank you, guys.
In today's business world, you need to constantly and consistently grow your network in order to get work done. Your network can help promote your strengths and professional skills to others. By building relationships, you build recognition and influence. Can you think of any relationships that you have built recently in school, in one of your internships, just in your own personal and interpersonal interactions with people? So I will provide an example. we are doing hiring for SYEP. And in our hiring, we brought someone on team, Miss Celeste. And that helps build the network. She's a team member, but she also comes with people and 8 partners that she works with. She does a lot of community work, and that helps expand the network to promote our strengths and professional skills to others as a whole for UAU and the SYEP. We're gonna do some introductions. We are not gonna do 1-minute introductions because this is a larger, I want to say, presentation, and we do want to make sure we get over to our SYEP part as well. But if you were practicing your introductions, or if you're in preparation for SYEP and where you're choosing your work site, you want to think about who, what, how, and the form of contact. So who are you introducing yourself to? What capacity? How are you introducing yourself? And what form of contact are you using? When you do your introduction, there is it's a term called the elevator pitch. And that is where you really get to speak. I wouldn't say it's like the verbal version of a resume, shortened to really highlight who you are to someone that you are trying to make a lasting impression on. That would be professionally, what, how long, and specifics you have. If you're doing personally, you could focus on families, hobbies, sports, activities, and fun. If you're sharing your point of view, an opinion, observation, or something about which you have expertise, and the purpose or goal of your reasoning for being there. Here are some tips on networking. Creating your LinkedIn profile and update it regularly. LinkedIn it's basically a virtual resume. It is definitely one of those things you do want to have as you enter the workforce and you gain experience and you grow in your career, even educational. If you don't have a LinkedIn, making one, I know someone said they just did, is always a good idea. You could update it as you go. So what happens is when someone searches you, they could search your profile, they could see where you worked at, what skills you have. And sometimes job reviewers do check those profiles when they are hiring. If you can prepare for networking event the same as you would do for interviews, and you research the people who will be there, the positions that are offered, the roles, companies, or businesses they're in. For example, for SYEP, sometimes if you're familiar, you've done this before, we do the camps, and you would go to a location where all of the schools would be there and the camps that are offered, and you let them know like which one you want to work at. You ask questions about the site, and then you would give them over either your job referral for that SYEP. That is something that a networking event that you could prepare for. You may be there to get a job with a summer camp, get an internship at one of the summer camps, but maybe you speak to someone and they really are interested in you based off your introduction and that first impression, and they want to offer you a position that they have open outside of SYEP. Again, always dressing professionally, be mindful of your appearance and coming up with questions in advance. Practicing your listening skills and your elevator pitch. Some tips is asking simple questions, cameras on, follow up on your connections, do your research before the event, look for organizations or people you know, and establish your goals. I think especially for virtual, SYEP will be offering in-person or remote work experiences. Cameras do need to be on and you want to be presentable. Working from home or attending events for SYEP at home still means that you should bring your best self, have your hair done, have on a professional shirt or casual. You don't want to be on anyone's Zoom in pajamas. Does anyone want to share, if they already have one, an elevator pitch?
My name is Francesca. I was a 3-time SYEP participant. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience. During the summer of 2017, I worked at a nursing home, 2 different jobs. One job in human resources, one job in the facilities salon, transporting residents. During the summer of 2018, I worked for SYEP again, and I worked at that same nursing home in the salon again, this time for the entire 6 weeks. After 2018, I got a computer job, a part-time job with Divergent, which I plugged in the chat earlier. June of 2020, that was my 3rd time participating in SYEP, but last year, as some of you know, it was remote. I completed 12 hours and 15 minutes of Hats and Ladders courses, as well as 2 separate projects. My first project was a civics project on prejudice and discrimination. My second project was an OtterBox project. The goal of that project was to come up with some ideas of companies that OtterBox could collaborate with so that they can create fancy designs for iPhones, because everyone knows how, OtterBox, they have really heavy duty cases, but the designs, they're just plain. So after that, I became a ComHab worker for HeartShare, and I've been working with them since February. My personal hobbies are creating dance choreography, playing video games, and playing outside with my volleyball when the weather is nice. I am a family of 5. I have a younger brother, I have a younger sister, and I live with my parents and my sister. My brother is currently in California.
Thank you all for contributing. The reason why networking is coming up in the benefits of SYEP is because, and I'll tell from my own personal stories, I participated in SYEP as a teenager, probably for like 3 years. My first actual job that I landed was because I did my SYEP internship at Walgreens, and then they hired me based off of my interning experience as a full-time employee. And then after that, a position to work for UAU themselves, assisting with the SYEP program. That shows it's, I was at 14 and then 16. Yeah, I just crossed over my stories. I apologize about that. When I actually first came back from school, Brian Licata offered me a position for SYEP. I came back, I want to say close to the ending of the summer. And that was helpful because I would have missed the deadline. And then another 3 years later, as an adult, I applied for UAU and I started working for SYEP. So that just shows the trajectory and where you make that impression. You start your internship at 16. Some of you have been doing SYEP since you were 14. And then you can really grow with the company where you go from being an intern to a full-time employee. So with SYEP, all of our experiences, if you're working at, Francesca had a few of them, you can always connect that and end up finding full-time employment somewhere, which is the goal. Anyone else want to share a similar, I'll check the chat, experience? But thank you, Malika. Sorry if I said that wrong. While you work, you can make personal and professional relationships. Francesca remembers being interviewed as well for SYEP at her high school during the spring of 2017. And it's always when you make these connections and in networking, it's always good to maintain those relationships. So sometimes you come across people that are great people to know, and it might be like I was 16 and I met a chancellor, and then I never, I didn't pursue that. I wasn't interested in that field, but that's someone that it's always good to maintain that connection with, because later on, you don't know your career path where that might be useful. Perfect, Marilyn. I was just going to ask if you wanted to jump in and share any tips or importance on networking.
Well, it's funny as you're saying that, because it's hard for the members, the participants in this chat to really understand the importance of networking until they actually start to see it at work. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to just paint a little picture of it. Okay. You're working in a camp, you're giving the best care that you possibly can. You know that you want to go into a specific career, maybe an accounting job or a corporate job. Or maybe you're looking to become a civil servant, and you happen to be working with the child of a civil servant who really enjoys your job and can give a recommendation to you for the future. You're not always going to network just to get a win out of it, or the win out of it. I was talking about it yesterday. There's always the goal of what you want to achieve, right? But sometimes you have to achieve shorter goals, smaller goals, in order to get to that greater goal that you want to achieve. Coming to SYEP and knowing how to utilize it and how to leverage it so that you can achieve your future goals, right? You work in a school, you're working with teachers, they can give you a recommendation. You may land a job. We have different kinds of opportunities that we work in schools and colleges and not-for-profit organizations. We're working with NYPD, we're working with CVS Pharmacy. We're not only working with the local store, and so there are lots of opportunities that you may not even think are opportunities. If you're interested in customer service, take the job in the store as a greeter, and see how it works working with the public and learning from that. And then take that experience and use it for your next opportunity. That's how networking works. Networking is like a spider web, right? And you are the spider. And for different reasons, you have to know different people, okay? And so SYEP gives you the opportunity. If any of you participated last summer in SYEP, you know that we had assembly members speaking to you and learning and teaching you. We have national museums. We have corporate businesses working with you. Where would you get these opportunities? Where would you get to meet the executive directors of these organizations by yourself? And so you are going to have a lot of different opportunities and hear about a lot of different opportunities while you're working with SYEP. And if you're not sure, but you think it might be a networking opportunity, ask us. We'll tell you. We're going to be working alongside you, okay? So you don't even have to worry about, how do I know if it's really a networking opportunity? Or, gee, I'm working with so-and-so and their partner works at the organization that I always wanted to work for, right? Like my daughter always wanted to work in tech and now she just got a job with Sony. So if you, it didn't just come automatically, and it was just the goal, and she took all the steps, and you know, that's just how it works. And if you understand that's the process, just meet people, say hello, learn who they are, listen. Don't be looking over their head to see who else is in there. Meet people, try to get to know what they're about. Let them know what you're interested in, right? It's very important to tell people about yourself. That elevator pitch, that comes up a lot, but your story will change. I call it my story, right? I call my elevator pitch my story, and my story has changed all of my life. So when I had graduated college, my story was, I was the kid of an immigrant who put myself through college, right? So that was really an interesting story. People like that. They like the idea that I was, and I did it in 4 years and I graduated early. And so there were all kinds of little parts of the story that I could talk about. So when they ask you about leadership, or when they ask you about organization, and you can say, this is what I've done. I put my, if I know how to organize because I could put myself through school. My parents did not the applications for me, or apply for the loans for me, or pay the bills for me, or anything. And I kept a part-time job that was really 35 hours a week, and did that. And so, you know, as you're managing these things, this, as we're going into SYEP, and I know that you're going to talk about it and everybody's anxious about hearing more about it. These are the kind of opportunities that give you experience on your resume, right? While the other kids are kicking cans down the street, I used to say, you're doing something that's going to be another step towards what you want for your future.
Thank you, Marilyn. Does anyone have any anything they want to share? Anything after Marilyn helped paint that picture? I think that was great. My examples were a little, but that was
No.
And-
They weren't. But you know, go ahead. Ralph wants to talk.
Also, one thing about pretty much for West Miami, I would like to say financial gains, like whenever you get paid for, you know, working so damn hard, like, you know, typically it does have to do with some great rewards and stuff like.
Absolutely. You're going to get paid during the SYEP program. You're doing paid work. You're being paid to do a good job. You are not coming to school and you're not shrugging this off. When you take on a responsibility like an internship with UAU for summer, this is a paid job. This is a responsibility. This does not hold you in a good light if you do not do well. It is important to get the best and the most out of a job that you can, and that's through networking. Your boss likes you, they want to help you, you want to go into law, they're going to help you, they know a lawyer. Your boss knows someone you're working with in the business. You need to take the fire exam, you know, New York Fire Department. They're going to tell you when the test is, maybe be able to give you a recommendation. There are all kinds of opportunities that you could find as you're thinking about your future. And your future is going to change. And what you may want to do right now is going to be different when you finally graduate high school. You may decide to go to college, you may not. Those are options for you. We are exposing you when you go into SYEP and you start to network, you start to be exposed to the different options that are out there in business that unfortunately you don't get to see until you get out there, and then you know what's out there. Okay, my first job was in pharmaceutical sales. I didn't know that there was such a thing, and it was a great thing. Okay, it was almost like a hidden secret, how I couldn't have known my whole life that that job, that dream job that I wanted existed. I found out. Why? By taking on a part-time job and working in a doctor's office. And the pharmaceutical rep came in. And I wanted to do that. You know why I wanted to do that when I was 16? Because it gave me a car. I didn't have to buy a car. I knew I was going to get a car with the job. And that's what sold me. And that's what I learned. And as silly as that might sound, Rashida, she started at UAU. She's doing wonderful work. She's a director now, right? All wonderful things happen once you start talking and getting to know what you want to do.
You know, the link that I just posted, it'll help you guys and it'll answer some of your questions. I would like to add that there were multiple town hall meetings last year. At least one of them I was a part of.
I see.
And, you know, when I was eligible last year, I testified to save SYEP because I understand how important it is to the community and to our youth. And knowing that I'm no longer eligible, I just wanted to like motivate everybody who is to like get out there. You know, I love UAU. Like, you guys have like, you know, from 2017 to now, you guys have gone like above and beyond for me, and I couldn't be more grateful. It's like the best experience I've had.
Francesca, you definitely are a service testament to what we try to do to give you the best experience that we possibly can. If anybody's interested in working in policing, they are looking for interns, but not only the precincts, in the auto shops and in the special divisions and the ferry police. Okay, so there's all kinds of opportunity. The transit, there are different types of jobs out there. So we have CVS. If you're into healthcare, there are absolutely a number of jobs and a pipeline. And when CVS spoke to me this week, they said that they were creating a pipeline so that if you're eligible, if you're not 18, once you turn 18, you could apply for a cashier position. You can get another job. You can go into starting in an entry-level position with CVS, and they are a phenomenal employer and they have a lot of opportunities. So, you know, once you get there and you start to look around, use this time for you. This is a time and an opportunity for you.
So I will do a little, like a brief, and then if that does not answer your questions, feel free. Ralu, I know you had a few questions. This will be the space for that. So the Summer Youth Employment program, it is lottery based, youth ages 14 to 21. You must be in between those ages before July 6th. So if your birthday is June 30th and you turn 14, you can still participate. As long as you don't turn 22 before July 6th, you can still participate. The program is 6 weeks long. It is going to be stipends for youth 14 and 15 years old, $700 a week, 15 hours a week. That's 3 days. Anyone 14 and 15 will all be online work experiences.
Hold on one second. I didn't get something. You said 14 and 15 is
Will be online work experiences.
okay.
So it'll be all virtual or remote. It will be similar to last year if you did it last year, that virtual experience using the Hats and Ladders platform, as well as the project-based learning that we did. For youth ages 16 to 24, it's going to be 25 hours a week at $15 an hour for the 6 weeks. You are offered the option, in which Marilyn was touching on. You can either work in person, you can work remote, which is virtual, so online remote, or you can work hybrid, and that might be some that require you to come in person, but also allow you to do online work. So how do you know if you're chosen for SYP? The application is open until April 23rd. So you want to make sure you go online and you apply. After April 23rd, the lottery will go off. We do not have an exact date. That is up to DYCD. But once the application is closed, the lottery goes off. If you are chosen in the lottery, you then have 3 days to submit the required documents that you need. The required documents that you need, if anyone, I would, have pen and paper, but of course this is available. If you're emailing, you have our information from the flyer as well. And this is, you do not bring your documents in until you are chosen in the lottery, and everything is done online. So you would submit your documents to that online portal. The documents would be a school ID. If you are bringing in a school ID, then you need a report card or transcript. We cannot accept the schedula or pupil path. You need to email your guidance counselor to get the actual report card. Can I see one of those? Thank you. If you have a city or state ID, then you do not need a report card. So city or state ID would be the best. If you do not have one, the DMV or the ID NYC, you can apply by going online and searching it. For the DMV, you must make an appointment first. And for the ID NYC, they are, a little delayed with the appointment. So if you know you do not have an ID right now and you're not able to get a school ID, and you'll need a city or state one, I would begin doing that, making that appointment. You need your birth certificate, your social security card, which needs to be signed. You need proof of address, which could be like a home utility bill, the lease, current cable bill, or official mail from a city or state agency. You need proof of income. So if you receive any public assistance, that would be like food stamps or SNAP benefits is the word, cash assistance. And there are a few others that you may receive. You can submit proof of that. So that would be like the EBT card with the receipt showing matching. That would be like a benefit letter or a SNAP budget letter or official letter from the social service or the entity that you received your public assistance. If you do not receive public assistance, you would need to submit 2 consecutive pay stubs. So that's 2 pay stubs back to back. So the dates, it would be 3/1 to 3/15. The next check would be 3/16 to 3/31. Within the last 6 months, or you can submit the 2020 W-2 form and 1 pay stub dated within the last 6 months. You can submit a pension award letter. That's if your parent is retired. A Social Security Administration award letter. So that's SSA letter. An unemployment benefit document dated within the last 6 months. And if you're self-employed, there's a tax return document, and your parents would know what that is to submit. So the income and address, so if you're under the age of 18, will probably be in your parents' name. It may also be in your parents' name if you still reside with them. You will need to submit a selective service if you're a male over the age of 18. And you can go online and Google selective service and you could submit that. All of those documents that are required, working papers as well. Oops, if you're 16 or 17, you have to submit your working papers. The schools are physically open, so you're able to get your working papers. There's also, if you Google a site that has any questions, if you are having trouble accessing or getting in contact with your school, your guidance counselor is going to be your best point of contact right now. If you are 14 or 15, you do not need working papers and you do not need a report card. So those are the documents you need. Again, those documents, you have 3 days to bring in after you were chosen in the lottery. The application is open until April 23rd. So the lottery will not go off until the application closes. And now I will speak on the special initiatives or some of the contracts that we offer. In addition, they are not lottery, you would have to contact myself directly via email. The information is there. If you live in a Stapleton NYCHA development, youth ages 14 to 24. If you live in West Brighton NYCHA development, youth ages 14 to 24. And if you are currently or within the last 6 months receive services for ACS, foster care, homelessness, or at risk of court or justice involvement, that's for yourself or if you're the sibling in the household. If you go to a District 75 or District 79 school, an example of a District 75 school would be Hungerford or South Richmond. And an example of a District 79 school would be like Pathways to Graduation. And also for any youth ages 14 to 24 who have experienced gender-based violence. If you receive cash assistance from HRA. So cash assistance is in addition to your SNAP or the food stamp benefit, some people receive a cash benefit and you would qualify, you would need to submit that receipt showing a cash balance. That deadline is the same, April 23rd. So those are the only other 3 contracts in which if you have any questions about anything I just said, you can always email or call directly. If you do not want to say out loud in this chat, you can also ping me privately here. Or again, the email, which I will drop in the chat for everyone. Outside of the contracts or lottery, all of the work job opportunities are the same. All of the documents are the same. And the process, the start date is the same, which is July 6th. Does anyone have any questions or anything I did not cover? Direct deposit is also going to be an option. We heavily encourage direct deposit if you have a bank account. That will come, you'll hear more about that once you're selected and sometime towards June. If you do not have a bank account open, you will receive the payroll card as usual. If you are interested in direct deposit, you do want to open that bank account because you will need the information and the account has to be set up in order to link it. So we will not be able to provide for the transportation to and from the workplace.
All right.
So when you're doing your job placement, that's something that you want to let the JRC or the employment specialist who is helping you, let them know, like, this is near me, I'm able to travel here, this is where I'm able to commute. When you are applying for these internships, you treat them as if they are jobs. So you want to make sure that you're able to commute there, that you will not be, not showing up, not calling. So you want to pay something that's realistic and feasible that you can do.